Right now, I'd like to welcome Arjan Blok, CEO of Nederlandse Loterij, as first speaker of the day. Welcome, Arjan. Please come to the stage. I think we're all very eager to hear what you have to say, especially since Nederlandse Loterij has been at the heart of some of the most relevant discussions on gambling policy in the Netherlands. Thank you very much for making it here to the stage. Arjan, welcome.
So, I need to start with a warning because perhaps I'm not that old-fashioned, but I'm not going to use slides. And the teleprompter is, of course, far too innovative, so I'm going to read it out loud from paper. And I'm even using my glasses, because last time when I was in the second chamber, I was stumbling in my words because I didn't put my glasses on. Good morning. Thanks, great to all see you at the KIT. Thanks for surviving the traffic jam, the enormous lack of parking spots and the oat milk. First of all, thank you for the team of Gaming in Holland for this invitation to speak today. I think this conference really has become a fixture in our gaming industry calendar, in providing a wide range of presenters and also tapping on a wide range of subjects. It's a wide range from representatives from the gaming authority towards a humble CEO of Nederlandse Loterij. Nederlandse Loterij, we're the largest provider of gaming of chance in the Netherlands. Lotteries, sports betting and online casino. And we're already, of course, a very long time active in the market. I think one of our brands, the Loterij, is the eldest lottery in the world. Next year we'll celebrate its 300th anniversary, and I already can voice that won't go unnoticed. And of course also Toto, our online brand, was erected in 1957, and of course as part of the KNVB, the Dutch Football Association, really focused on preventing players with participating in illegal pools and illegal lotteries. And especially, of course, to protect players. And this is still the core of what we do. It remains in the heart of what we do in 2025. Attracting players to legal and attractive offering, to a legal market, to ensure providing responsible games. Keeping them away from illegal sites. That's exactly what I want to talk to you about today. How do we combat illegality and how to improve especially the legal gambling market in the Netherlands to ensure that playing a game of chance remains fun and stays fun. And to state the obvious, and you already mentioned it this morning, channelization and therefore player protection is under pressure. We are seeing illegal gambling sites rapidly gaining ground. There are new figures, and we all know them, you present them as well, based on the methodology developed by Nederlandse Loterij. I must admit, I'm rather proud of that one. Validated by independent experts and now adopted by the Gambling Authority. And those figures are alarming. Not even 4 years after the launch of the regulated online gambling market, half of every euro wagered goes to abroad, to the illegal market. Channelization rates based on GGR has dropped from 80% to 50%, and it's just a percentage. But let's translate it into simply euros. 1.3 billion is now floating abroad. And as a consequence, the state misses out tax revenues, legal operators, like the most of us, misses out on profits because we face very simple unfair competition. And last but not least, and for me that's most importantly, players receive no protection. And although of course the number of 50% of our GGR going abroad is devastating, I must admit I'm positive, because I'm glad that we finally have a shared factual basis. And those facts, the truth, so to speak, is shaping also the recent political debates on gambling. We've seen it in the second chamber in the last discussions in the Commission. Do we now have all the facts straight? In my point of view, we don't. We simply need to have more facts on the table. Work needs to be done. That's why I want to provide a clearer view on player channelization. And so the number of players that are using illegal operators. According to the latest report of the Gambling Authority, currently 98% of our players plays at legal providers. And I think everybody in this room knows that number is not correct. 91%, that resembles 100,000 players. But when we apply our method, in short, translating search behavior on illegal sites towards customer numbers, we estimate as many as at least 200,000, more than 200,000 players are currently playing at illegal operators, unprotected. And together with the Gambling Authority, we're currently exploring ways to use also this new method for managing player standardization in the formal monitoring reports. And I do not expect that in the monitoring report, which will be presented somewhere end of June, beginning of July, that the player numbers already are inserted, but hopefully somewhere in September, October, on that monitoring report, player channelization will be part of the report, which in my point of view is a very big step forward to ensure that we really address one of the main topics, fighting the illegal market. I think it's also a moment also to address a message towards the CASA Gambling Authority. In my point of view, Chairman Michel Groothuizen and his team deserve great credit. Great credit for being open to new insights from the sector and integrating those new insights into the policies. This enables policymakers, operators, regulators and politicians to set the right priorities on the right facts. And talking about priorities, one of those focus points for Nederlandse Loterij is fighting the illegal market. Players are turning to illegal operators, especially those, in my point of view, who need the protection the most. They play more often, they play longer periods, and with more money, with no oversight, without any duty of care, without any form of protection, and especially also no age verification. So our youngsters, 15, 16 years old, are really easily manipulated to play casino, to do sports betting, which is, in my point of view, not okay. And yes, we also see fake payment services, and we also see irresponsible bonus schemes. So therefore, I've stated before, in very simple terms, the back door to illegal gambling market is wide open. It must be closed and locked. In all honesty, of course, the Gambling Authority, in my point of view, is doing exactly what they can to the utmost. Within the mandate, and I must admit, we are happy to assist, and also the VN Lokaal branch organization. We met the Gambling Authority, Michel Groothuizen, last Monday. I think looking back at that meeting, it was focused on, of course, with respect for each other's position, focused on cooperation. Next to that, as I mentioned, Nederlandse Loterij is happy to assist. That's why Nederlandse Loterij has filed a civil lawsuit against Lalabet. I think you've read it already in Financial Dagblad. Lalabet, the largest illegal gambling site in the Netherlands. We're targeting not just the company. We're also targeting the shareholders and the board of directors. And why? Very simple. We want to close the site down, permanently. And to ensure that this operator can simply need to reappear under a different name or different website. And our goal is also very simple. To protect Dutch players from illegal gambling operators. That requires a legal ruling, establishing that the behavior of Lalabet is unlawful and also drives unfair competition. And are we looking for compensation for damages? Of course not. That's not the main aim. Our main aim is that we're taking our social responsibility very seriously. It's very simple. Get the websites offline permanently. We've now started with the market leader. Bear in mind, we're also looking at other illegal operators, and new procedures are already in the works. And let's be clear, that will not be easy. It's an international and very complex legal process, and in honesty, we do not expect a ruling tomorrow. But doing nothing, in my point of view, is not an option. And is a lawsuit a silver bullet? Let's be fair. No, it isn't. More is needed. And therefore, in my point of view, the Gaming Authority should be granted even more mandate. To take, of course, legal sites offline, to block online ads, to remove illegal casino from the website, from the free app stores, and especially, and in my point of view, most importantly, to prohibit payment services for illegal providers. These powers, in our point of view, are essentially to truly make a difference. At the same moment in time, let's join forces. Join forces, the regulator, operator, banks, tech platforms, PSPs, and hosting companies. And that's why also Nederlandse Loterij is part of the so-called Illegal Gambling Alliance, which started a few weeks ago. In my point of view, we all share the same interest, fighting illegal gambling sites. But it needs speed, it needs progress now. And therefore, let's not wait for struiken and this new policy vision to eventually lead to legislation. That will take years, and especially also mentioned, given now in the situation where we don't have a cabinet anymore, it will take even additional time for new laws come in place. And therefore, in my point of view, with respect for everybody's role, we need to act now. Every day, the back door stays open, Dutch players are being unprotected. The chance for addiction increases, and also the chance that people are spending money they can afford is also on the move. So, therefore, we need to do more. But this all focused on the illegal market and on the gambling authority and our legislator. We also need to act. We also need to pay attention to the playing field in which we, as licensed operators, operate. The back door must be shut, must be locked, but we also need to maintain, onderhouden, the front door to the legal market. And rightly, we have an overload of legislation. And indeed, I must admit, even the current accumulation, the opstapeling of restriction is making the legal gambling offer less attractive and especially less visible. Let's consider 3 elements and we'll briefly touch upon them. Play deposit limits, the upcoming ban on sports sponsorships, and of course the steep increase in the gambling tax, also mentioned earlier today. On those deposit limits, I think I also mentioned it in the second chamber. What does it tell us when only one of the 10 players completes a financial capacity test, the draagkrachttoets? Only 1 out of 10. What does it mean? And even that number is a little bit optimistic. And the consequence, very simple. The illegal market again benefits. Because if a player wants to bet more, they simply switch abroad to the illegal operators. But there's a second effect. Since the introduction of the limits, the players open more new accounts. And in our point of view, that simply blurs, of course, the picture of a player behavior, which hampers the effective implementation and usage of responsible gaming measures. And those limits were especially mentioned, of course, the aim of those limits was indeed to protect the player more. Well, in real life, the effect's contrary. I won't dive into the details of the sponsorships. Just dive into the details of the gambling tax. The ever-increasing gambling tax, 7 percentage points in the last 2 years, has also driven players to the illegal operators. Well, why? Of course, our offering gets less appealing, lowering the return to player. I therefore urge politicians to first assess the impact of the first tax hike. Until then, in my point of view, there's only one option: freeze the gambling tax, at least for the next coming years. All in all those developments put real pressure on the business model of the legal operators in the market. And in my point of view, these 3 elements, which I mentioned, ask for smart decisions and smart actions of politicians, regulators, and policymakers. But then again, it's them. The question is, of course, what can we do as legal operators to improve the market? And I think it's a fair question. Why? In my point of view, a sustainable market must be built on trust. From players, from the public, from politicians. And we can only, then in my point of view, can only create a sustainable market, a reliable market. And that's why, in my point of view, we also must look critically to ourselves. Because, did we advertise too much when the market first opened? My answer is yes. And as Nederlandse Loterij, it's a yes. Can we still improve our duty of care? Absolutely. Absolutely. And on the new policy vision on gambling, I firmly believe that we should embrace rather than greet this new vision with skepticism. And let's support the legislator with advice and facts to ensure that effective and executable policies are being carved into law. Some examples. Example 1, to better protect players, we advocate for a legal ban for credit card deposits and for gambling with borrowed money. Lenen met gespeeld geld. In my point of view, not okay. And secondly, and I presume that you're all aware of that one, already for years we have called for cross-operator deposit limits to prevent players hopping between operators. I'm really glad that the State Secretary also supports this now, and we as Nederlandse Loterij are even working currently on a technical solution to make these cross-operator limits possible. We discussed last Monday with the Gambling Authority that this is also a very nice moment to kind of simplify the limits, because in all honesty, let's go to one limit that is recognizable for players, understandable for players, because in all honesty, when you look at the current set of player limits, even for me it's hard to explain how it works. And a side note, in my experience, the Gambling Authority is really open for dialogue. And this dialogue, in my point of view, is essential to assess the impact of the new measures and also to translating this new vision into policies. We should really focus on what works and what doesn't work. In my point of view, in the end, we all share the same goal. A well-functioning market with proper oversight and realistic regulation. Rules that not only become stricter, but also can become relaxed when the situation calls for it. I think the core of this old-fashioned, not using PowerPoint and teleprompter speech consists of 4 messages, and I think those 4 messages are very clear. First of all, we have a problem. Our data shows that the illegal gambling market is a much bigger problem than we initially thought. Far more players are gambling on illegal sites unprotectedly, based on our methodology, more than 200,000 players. Secondly, the accumulation of regulations, and also amongst others the limits, and the increase of the gambling tax is really playing into the hands of the illegal market. My plea is at least postpone the increase of the gaming tax for the next 2 years. 3, it's about working together. We must really work together to combat illegality. That's why I make an urgent appeal to banks, tech platforms like Google and Meta, to step up and take action. How is it possible that illegal operators can still do adverts on Google and Meta? And finally, last but not least, I would like to address our sector. Let's build trust together. Let's build a responsible and future-based legal online gambling market in the Netherlands. One that protects players to the best of our ability, in order to ensure that playing a game of chance is fun and no more and no less. Thank you.